America, land of the free, home of the brave, and the place for brewing really, really great beer. This right here is an American cream ale, which is your classic lawnmower beer. It's refreshing, it's easy drinking, and it's an absolute thirst quencher in summer. So today, we are gonna show you exactly how we brewed this one so you can taste your own little slice of the great USA. To make this American cream ale, we need 3 very key ingredients. We need pale ale malt, we need Pilsner malt, and we need flake corn. And we actually need a 4th ingredient. It's gonna be dextrose monohydrate powder, so basically corn sugar. Now, the whole idea behind all of this is that we want the color of this beer to be very, very light. We want it to be incredibly easy drinking. We want the body to be subdued, and we want this to be just extremely crushable. That's the whole goal. So, the corn is obviously essential to give us that classic American cream flavor because this is what the beer is based off. The corn sugar is gonna help us dry the crap out of the beer so that it's gonna finish very low in gravity and it's gonna be extremely smashable. And then I've gone for a half and half between Pilsner and ale malt because I do still want a touch of character coming from the grains, so that ale malt is going to give us that, and that Pilsner malt is more delicate, a little more subdued, and is going to keep our color quite light. So all this is going to go into the grain mill, except for these two, and then we can get to mashing in. Alrighty, let's get mashing. In the grains go. So the water chemistry for this one will be 28 parts per million of calcium, 5 magnesium, 15 sodium, 31 chloride, 45 sulfate, and 57 bicarbonate. Now, if you can reduce the bicarbonate, by all means do so. I'm using my local tap water and it's just in there, so I've got to deal with it. The only important thing to note with that water profile, well, 2 things. One is it's very subdued and very light. It's a similar profile I use for very light lagers because I want this profile to be soft. I want this to be a delicate beer. I want it to be really easy to drink. I don't need a lot of hard water in there, muddying the waters. But the one key difference between the chloride and sulfate is I want that kind of 1.5 ratio of the sulfate to chloride because I do want this to finish crisp. I want it to finish dry, and I want those hops to be on the brighter side rather than emphasizing malt characteristics. So a 1.5 ratio I feel like is appropriate for all of that. And of course, we can't forget our corn because it ain't gonna be a cream ale without our corn. By the way, I only recently learned that a cream ale is called a cream ale because it's like so smooth and creamy. It feels like it's a dairy product, but it's not a dairy product. I've never gotten that vibe from corn before, so we're gonna find out if that's what it can do. All right, that is that. I'm not gonna bother adding in the corn sugar, the monodextro, that, Odin, you can pop that in there. I'm not gonna bother adding that in now because there's no point. I've still got a sparge and everything anyway, so I'm just gonna go ahead and add that sugar when we actually get to the boiling stage. I am gonna close this up now. We are gonna we're gonna brew, mash. We're gonna mash. We're gonna mash for 1 hour at 64 degrees Celsius. We're only gonna do 1 step. I thought about doing a 2-step mash, but it's really not that necessary. These sugars are gonna be so fermentable anyway, it doesn't need that extra help. And mashing on the lower side means it's gonna end up being a little drier, a little more fermentable, and a much lighter mouthfeel, so that this is just a super crushable lawnmower beer. It is also gonna be followed by a mash out for 15 minutes at 77 degrees Celsius towards the end of the mash. I'm losing my words. I'm so sorry, guys. We'll see you in an hour. It has now been an hour and a bit, and we are ready to start sparging. Just check out that clarity. Like, that color looks so, so nice. It looks way more yellow than it actually is because of the density. It's incredibly pale, which is a good thing. We want the color to be super, super light for this beer. Oh, that's not too heavy for once. There we go. All right, we're gonna start running 30 liters of sparge water over the top of this. We've already done our salts and our phosphoric acid to correct for pH and the water chemistry. So after we run the 30 liters over top of this, we can move on to boiling. Now we're gonna take a quick sample pre and post sparging to see the color difference, because already that is like Mexican cerveza pale. So I'm very curious to see what this looks like afterwards, because this is already super light. So after sparging is done, this thing is going to be almost like water territory. We're making salsa.
Making milk, man.
Making milk. Moment of truth. What does the color difference look like as we have started boiling? Wow, pretty significant. This is going to be extremely pale, and it should be mighty clear actually. All this is going to settle out nicely. It's going to be a very, very clear beer. Actually, may as well take a gravity reading while we're at it. I don't know why I just tipped that out. I could have just used the same sample. That is brewing at its finest right there. Your brain switches off if it's not a part of the standard process. The target is 1.027. We are sitting at 1 point, what? That can't be right, not a chance. Oh no, that 1.027 would, We'll come back in a second. The target is 1.027. We're sitting at 1.032, so we're already quite significantly over if this is correct. I've got a suspicion the calibration is out. But we also haven't added this sugar yet, so that's all quite interesting. Anyway, is what it is. I am going to now add our bittering hops. This is 25 grams / 0.9 of an ounce of Cascade. That's going to give us 8.6 IBUs of clean bitterness. Into the boiler it goes. I've got a hop spider right here. What am I doing? What am I doing? Whatever, it's fine. The aroma hops can go in there. Now, the idea behind this is clean bitterness. I'm going to be relying quite heavily on Cascade to provide the flavor for this one because it's classic American style pale ale flavors. It's a little bit of citrus in there. It's a little bit of pininess, a smidge of earthiness, and it's just classic American pale ale flavor with clean bitterness. I don't want to use any hops that are really pungent and carry huge hop oils, aromas, and flavors because we want this to be a more delicate beer that relies into like the more subtle flavors rather than the big, bold, punchy New World hop styles and flavors of like a new West Coast or a New England. You know what I mean? I think you know what I mean. Odin's nodding. We know what I mean. We'll come back at the end of the hour of boiling to add our flamer and aroma hops. It is not the end of the hour of power, but I did just realize we need to add some sugar. So, pulled out a separate bucket. I'm gonna pour it into here and dissolve with the paint mixer. I thought about adding it straight to the boiler. Honestly, you probably can. It would be fine. It's more just to avoid any potential risks of scorching and burning the sugar. May as well add it separately, dissolve it, then throw it back into the rest of the boiler. All right. That should be dissolved enough to go into the hop spider that I intentionally left empty. See, it's all coming together. It all makes sense now. There we go, nice. Now we'll come back at the end of an hour. It is now 5 minutes left in the boil and we're adding our last kind of bittering / flavor addition, which is gonna be 25 grams or 0.9 ounces of Huell melon hops. Now, to be honest, I would have preferred more of a traditional European noble hop on this one, like a Hallertau Miffelfer. I just didn't have any on hand. So this was the next closest thing, and that actually doesn't work too badly because this is gonna push this beer more to the fruitier side rather than the floral and herbal side, which I'm totally fine with for an easy drinking lawnmower beer. So that's gonna give us an amount of, I think that's like 2.1 IBUs. I just crunched it up. Sorry guys, it will be somewhere on the screen here. At 5 minutes, 0 minutes left, we'll add our final hop addition and then we can start cooling down. We are now at the end of our hour and it is time to start transferring this wort and cooling it down. I changed my mind. I was gonna do just straight up flame out hops, but I've decided, seeing as how I want this to be really easy drinking lawnmower beer, I don't want to risk any more IBUs, because even if you throw it at 0 minutes, you get a level of isomerization, you are going to get some bitterness still coming out of that. I want to avoid that. So instead, I'm going to cool this down to 80 degrees Celsius and throw in the last hop addition as a actual whirlpool, which is going to be 75 grams / 2.6 ounces of Cascade and 50 grams / 1.8 ounces of Huel melon. So this is going to lean it more towards citrus, a little bit of pine, tinge of earthiness, and a little bit like fruit salad, melon, that type of thing going on. So really pushing this towards citrus and fruit, which is what this beer is supposed to be, in my opinion. So, once this hits 80, we'll throw these in. Okay, I'm now going to attach the Whirlpool arm, get this thing spinning around, and we can throw in this final hop addition. In she go. Oh wait, what am I doing? Okay, that's going to help us just kind of, I know I'm using the hop spider, but there's other shrub and everything in there. This is just going to help us kind of make a cone in the middle so that way that doesn't get carried over into the transfer into the tank, and our beer can just get a little bit of help to be a touch clearer, which is, you know, always nice with a really, really pale ale. At the end of 20 minutes of whirlpooling, we'll cool this down to yeast pitching temperature and whack it into the tank. Okay, our whirlpool is basically done, and whilst we wait for that last minute, gravity is at 1.041. That, I believe, will give us, this is going to ferment out pretty dry. I expect this thing to finish out at like 1.004, 1.005. So I think that's a 4.8, maybe even a 5% beer actually. It's higher than what I was aiming for, I'll be honest. Our efficiency was really, really solid for this one. But we have finished whirlpooling, so let's go ahead and start cooling down the wort to yeast pitching temperature, and then we can talk about how we want to ferment this beer. We're now done. Let's transfer. It's a very pretty color. Whilst this is transferring, it's a good time for me to tell you, please like and subscribe to this video. Hit that notification bell down the bottom so you get notified when we drop a new video every single week. And if you are so inclined, pick up some merch, help support the channel, or sign up to Patreon and get the behind the scenes in the link down below. Now we can talk about yeast. We are now ready to talk yeast. And because this is a cream ale, there's one of two ways that you can normally do it. You could either go just ale yeast or just lager yeast, ferment it pretty cold and keep everything really clean. I was gonna just do ale yeast and keep the fermentation temperature really low because I don't want it to taste too lagery, but I think the true essence of a cream ale is that it's a hybrid pitch, i.e. you're doing lager yeast and ale yeast and keeping the fermentation temperature quite low. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to be using Nova lager yeast because it's got a temperature range that's quite large and it gives me a lot of room to play with. And I'm going to be using USO5 because it's extremely widely available and it's a classic American clean fermenting ale yeast strain. So I'm going to hybrid pitch these, or co-pitch these I should say, and then we are going to ferment at 18 degrees Celsius. Let's just throw them on in there. That is going to give us the best of both worlds. It'll give us the cleanness of the lager. It'll give us just that touch of esteriness and ale taste from the ale yeast. But we're still going to keep things very clean and very in style with what an American cream ale is supposed to be. Now, the next time that you guys see us will be after this quick ad break, and then we can taste some beer. Sometimes nothing pairs better with a good beer than a good cigar. But to light a good cigar, you need an awesome lighter. So that's why we've created some extremely limited edition, very cool retro style cigar lighters emblazoned with our insignia, beer, banter, and bloody good times, because that is what our channel is all about. But this is an extremely limited run, so jump onto our website, theflyingwombat.com.au, whilst stock lasts. And here she is. Now this thing finished up incredibly dry at, I believe, 1.005, 1.006, and about 4.6%. So it's an incredibly easy drinking beer, and it absolutely matches that crisp, clean, just smooth mouthfeel. There's something weird about how corn can be made to be so smooth, because I know that it's used to dry out the mouthfeel and make a crisp finish, but there really is something somewhat creamy about this beer. And I have to imagine that that magic has to come down to the dual yeast pitch. So this was fermented, as you'd know, at kind of cold-ish ale temperatures, but using that Nova Lager yeast as well as the USO5 makes this thing really easy, really smooth. And I hate that descriptor as a whiskey drinker, but there's very few ways to describe how this one is. It's just an easy, smooth finishing mouthfeel. It's very crisp on the finish. It's got nice subtle fruitiness, a little bit of citrus in there, thanks to that Cascade and that Huel melon, which I think complemented each other very, very nicely. So what I would actually really love to use this beer for is as a base to test different hop combos, either as just, a pseudo smash, almost like a smash ale using just one hop, or just going those dual hop combos to see how they can bring out the best in each other. Because I think what's really fantastic about the grain bill in this one is that it provides that dryness, that crispness, that somewhat clean creaminess, but it also lets the hops showcase themselves. It's not fully out of the way like some other beers, like a Japanese rice lager, for example, or like the Indian, like the cold IPA that we made a few weeks back, link to that one up there. But it does complement the hops in a really, really fantastic way, and I'm finding that absolutely delightful. So I'd love to hear about what beers you think we should brew next, because a cream ale is something I've never tasted until I've brewed my own. So let us know what other kinds of beers that you think might be hard to find in Australia that we should brew, so we can get a taste of the other great countries on this wonderful, wonderful little blue ball. So thank you so much for watching this video, and we'll catch you next time.